Hey guys, it's Neat2 up here, and welcome back to Black Dude Reviews, a show hosted by a black dude who loves to avoid getting got. Welcome to Zelda II: The Adventure of Link for the NES, the sequel to the critically acclaimed The Legend of Zelda. People loved that game because of the unique playstyle and also how it revolutionized the action-adventure genre of video games. People also appreciated the game's many secrets, making the game all the more replayable. It was the first NES game that had a save feature, and it was also the 5th best-selling game for the NES. But apparently Shigeru Miyamoto wanted to make this game significantly different from the last game, which heavily explains why this game's the way it is. It's a lot different in terms of gameplay from the first game and also from the games following it. The game's general perception has been kind of mixed, with some absolutely loving this game and others absolutely hating this game. But both sides can agree on one point. This game is very different from the other Zelda games, before and after it. But let's see for ourselves how this game rolls and what kind of rules they changed and also added as we review Zelda II: The Adventure of Link for the NES. This time the game doesn't tell you to consult the manual. Interesting. If you wait on the title screen, you'll see the story for this game. Link's about to turn 16 and sees a mark on his left hand. So he goes to Impa, Zelda's servant, concerned about the mark. Surprised from seeing the mark herself, Impa takes Link to the North Castle to the door that doesn't open. Because of the mark on Link's hand, Impa is able to open the door with it to see in the middle of the room Princess Zelda out like a light. Apparently it's because a sleeping spell has been cast on her by a magician after she refused to tell the Prince of Hyrule information regarding the Triforce of Courage. The magician, who was also a friend to the prince, died shortly after he cast the spell. In grief, the prince put Zelda in this room and made an order that every girl born into the royal family would be named Zelda. It should be noted that this Zelda is not the same Zelda as last game. The only way Zelda can be awakened from the sleep is through the power obtained from the unity of all three parts of the Triforce: power, wisdom, and courage. The Triforce of Courage is located in the Great Palace, but in order for Link to access it, he first has to travel to 6 palaces in Hyrule and place a crystal in the statue at the end of each palace. And so Impa gives Link 6 crystals and sends Link on his way. And so we start the game. This game also has a save feature, just like last game. But unlike last game, this game is mostly a side-scroller. When you start the game, you start in North Castle, and you can exit North Castle by walking either to the left or to the right. There are 2 modes in this game, for lack of a better term. The first mode is the overhead mode, in which you actually walk around Hyrule. And the second mode, the mode you'll be spending most of your time in, is the side-scrolling mode. In the latter mode, you actually fight enemies and find items, as well as interact with people. When Link is at full health, he can shoot a sword beam. But both the sword beam and the sword's range are not nearly as far as they were in the last game. An interesting thing about Link's control is that he can now crouch and also jump. Both nice additions. In this game, there's an experience system. If you earn a certain amount of it, you can upgrade either your attack, your life, or your magic. The max level that all 3 attributes can be at is 8. You can get XP by killing enemies and bosses, which is the most reliable way, or by finding point bags. I'd recommend keeping the levels mostly the same. Just because you can upgrade your health doesn't mean you should. The attribute that costs the most XP is your attack, so try to keep that in mind when leveling things up. New to this game are unique magic spells that each do a different thing. The shield spell makes him take less damage, the jump spell makes him jump higher, the life spell heals him, the fairy spell turns him into a fairy that can access areas he otherwise can't, the fire spell lets him shoot fire, and the reflex spell makes his shield reflect things it otherwise would just block. There's also the spell, which can reveal this house in the hidden town of Kasuto that has the magic key and also turns enemies into bots. And there's also the thunder spell, which kills everything on the screen and also makes the penultimate boss vulnerable. Each spell costs a certain amount of magic to use, and some spells are more expensive than others. You can find blue pots that restore some of your magic, as well as red pots that restore all of it. A trick that I like to do is when I find a red pot, if I'm not currently at full health, I use the life spell beforehand and then I pick it up. Some of the enemies from the first game return in this game, like moblins, gorillas, octoroks, and stalfos. But there are a lot of new faces, like gerus, bits and bots, dairas, Bubbles, and the most notorious of them all, Iron Knuckles. You'll see a lot of them in the palaces. There are also items that return from the first game as well, like the magic key that I already mentioned, the hammer, the recorder, and the raft. And there are some new items, like the handy glove that lets Link break blocks in palaces, the boots that let Link walk on water, and the cross that lets Link see otherwise invisible enemies. See these blue moas? Yeah, you would not be able to see these without the cross. As you progress through the game, you gain more and more items, spells, and abilities added to your arsenal. Heart containers make a return from the first game, and they can extend your health meter by one full rectangle. You can also retrieve magic containers that do the same thing, except with the magic meter. You can also find Link dolls, which serve as extra lives in this game. And there are certain items that you need to collect first in order to unlock certain things in towns. Because yes, this game has towns, and it's in these towns where Link can get new spells and new abilities, like a down stab and an up stab, which both make the game a lot easier in some parts. So the ultimate progression of the game is pretty straightforward. You travel to 6 palaces, make your way through the palace, beat the boss at the end of the palace, and put the crystal in place. But after the second palace, we enter a familiar place. Welcome to Death Mountain, a series of caves that have a bunch of enemies that really want to make Link bleed. No, seriously. They want to make Link bleed so that they can use his blood to mix with Ganon's ashes to resurrect him, which is why when you get a game over, it also says Return of Ganon, with a silhouette of Ganon. However, this is not a canonical event of the game. After putting the crystal in all 6 palaces, Link makes his way through the Valley of Death, with a bunch of action scenes and enemies that once again want Link's blood, to the Great Palace. The binding force of the Great Palace gets lifted once it recognizes that all 6 crystals were put in place. And after beating the Thunderbird with a Thunder spell, Shield spell, and Jump spell, Link gets one last challenge, to fight his shadow. And once he beats his shadow, he's granted the Triforce of Courage. With all 3 pieces of the Triforce obtained, Link awakens the sleeping princess. Zelda and Link share a kiss behind the fallen curtain, thus concluding Zelda II. Wow, what a game. I, for one, think this game's pretty fun and mostly well designed. The biggest thing that people have against this game is its difficulty, and I can definitely see why. See, in this game, you're actually given lives. Once you run out of lives, it's game over, and you get sent all the way back to North Castle. Now, I personally don't find that aspect of the game to be that big of a deal, because it doesn't really take that long to get from one point of Hyrule to another, so long as you stay on the path, but I would understand someone's frustration with this design choice, especially from first-time players. Besides that, some of the game design can also be pretty annoying, like how knockback can sometimes cost you your life, Link's somewhat stiff movement in the air, and enemies with shields, which is why Iron Knuckles are so annoying to deal with. You have to jump and stab them at the right time to deal damage to them. Blue Iron Knuckles can also be pretty annoying to deal with, but here's a strategy I found for them. They'll only crash out after you hit them, so take it slow with them. Also, try to keep as close as you can to them if you can help it. I think this game's pretty well designed in how it handles its experience system. In later levels, the experience that enemies drop increases significantly, and I never really found myself having to do any excessive grinding towards certain goals. Also, a nice thing about this game is that it automatically gives you a level up at the end of palaces, and knowing that info, I was able to max out my attack level without having to do super excessive grinding. I like how this game awards you for being strategic in what you decide to prioritize leveling up first. This game's difficulty, to me, is mostly well designed, despite some cheap deaths here and there. The game doesn't progressively get harder in my opinion. I think the game's difficulty stays consistent as the game goes on. As you level up your stuff and you get stronger and you get more experience, the game throws at you stronger enemies and obstacles to even out the difficulty, and not make you feel super OP despite your stuff being maxed out. I really like that design choice. It's almost kind of humbling. Yeah, you're maxed out. Yeah, you're more powerful than you were before, but are you skilled enough and knowledgeable enough to take on this? Speaking of, I complained in my review of the first game how the game was very unclear about what you're supposed to do next. And unfortunately, I feel that this game kind of suffers from the same issue if you don't have a map or guide next to you. Not even the manual has a somewhat detailed map of Hyrule for you to look over to see if there are secrets in certain areas. But even with that issue, I would say that I had a more fun, satisfying experience playing this game than playing Zelda 1. I am by no means a masochist, but I found overtaking very difficult parts of this game to be very invigorating, and made me look forward to what else the game was gonna throw at me. I kinda had a when the going gets tough, the tough gets going mindset while I was playing through this game. And once again, the way this game rewards you for not just blindly pressing the start button on the upgrades when a certain goal has been reached is very nicely done, but doesn't make you feel too powerful, and in the end, too cocky. That's just how I feel about it anyway. Zelda II: The Adventure of Link, while it is a rather different experience, it's still a well done and well designed game. This game is without a doubt much harder than Zelda 1, but it gives you a lot more incentives to keep playing, with the experience system and the overall satisfaction the game makes you feel after conquering a very difficult part of the game. The game's visuals and music are both pretty memorable, not a 10 out of 10, but they're still memorable. And the game's design is very unique for a lot of games at the time. It's not a game that I would recommend to someone completely new to Zelda, as the difficulty can throw someone off and dissuade them from playing other Zelda games, but it is a game I would recommend to Zelda enthusiasts to appreciate this game for what it is. Whether you like the game or not, this game is an important game to the Zelda series and did add a lot of new things to it, like towns and villages and the complete Triforce. So with that, I give Zelda II: The Adventure of Link for the NES a 4 out of 5 stars. Next time we will be returning to the Mega Man series with a review of Mega Man 7 for the Super Nintendo. This will be the first Super Nintendo review on the channel, so if you're interested in that, or you just want to see more from me, please subscribe. It's quick and easy, and you can always change your mind. Besides that, leave a like or leave a dislike, and thanks for watching.